Good evening, guys. I'm not sure how many of these videos I will actually get through, to be completely honest with you. Um, I've just been having a lot going on and going through some stuff, so I'm figuring it out. I kind of mentioned it, but I figured I could at least get some of them done. I know there's a tropical storm coming this weekend, so I might actually get quite a few of them done. We'll see how I feel about it. But I figured I could at least get one done tonight, since I already had Brian's done because he was at the back of the draft and his was pretty easy grade for me. I figured we would start there, and I could just work my way down if I feel like it, or I could jump around. But yeah, his was the easiest to do. Well, not the easiest. I think we know who's easiest, but his was relatively easy. It's pretty straightforward. That's why. So I guess let's get started. So in the first round, Brian took Chris Carson. He took him at 14 overall. I have both my phone here as well as a listing of each of the players with rankings. Reason being is I want to keep track essentially of like who was around the board when you picked, as well as like basically what you like who you might have taken over that pick, so to speak. So he took Chris Carson. I'm not. I understand the reasoning behind it. It was quite extraordinary to see 14 teams all pick running backs in the first round. Now, obviously, there's one team with a caveat of taking Sproles, but 14 teams taking running backs is a lot. So it was quite. You were going to have to take a running back with one of the two picks, obviously, especially because that meant you were probably getting the 14th running back on the board, and that's exactly what you got. You got Chris Carson, who I have listed as the 14th running back on the board. So basically, right where you would want him. I don't love Carson. I think he's a talented player. He's better than Rashad Penny. I know they're trying to throw him the ball more. I don't really like Brian Schottenheimer's offense. They're the run heaviest team in the league. So he will get opportunity. So from that volume, I think he'll do well. I'm not sure who the goal line back is as of yet. I think it'll probably be Carson. So this was a relatively safe pick. I think the only rub with Carson is you hope he stays healthy. I'm going to say the only rub quite often in this video. I already am aware. But I think for me, I like Carson. I think he's a good player. I think he's in of. I think this is more to do with like volume than anything else. So I think that was a good pick. I don't really have any qualms with it. I think uh, basically Carson's a pretty safe pick there, which is what made your listing of the draft like quote unquote pretty easy for me to basically right now. See, I'm going through my phone. Um, basically pulling up. I made my own ranking, so I'm pulling up some rankings right now. But basically, yeah, I had Carson as 14. There are some other players I had on the board higher. There are some players I had lower. Carson was relatively a safe pick, though, so I think taking him there was the right choice. Next, you had Sonny Michel, and now we get to the why is Brian doing this kind of board. So I have Michel at the 22nd ranked running back. I think there were better running backs on the board. Namely, I liked Damian Williams. I liked Aaron Jones. Obviously, I love me some Aaron Jones, but maybe you don't, and that's okay. And maybe you're not sure about Williams because he's never done it for a full season with Kansas City, and that's okay. Maybe you don't like Leonard Fournette because he's coming off an injury. Maybe you don't like Devontae Freeman who's coming off an injury. Maybe you don't like Josh Jacobs because he's a rookie. Maybe you don't like David Montgomery because he's a rookie. Maybe you don't like Kerryon Johnson because he's coming off of injury. I would take all of those guys over Sonny Michel. I would take Derrick Henry over Sonny Michel. I would take Mark Ingram over Sonny Michel. I'd probably take Philip Lindsay over Sonny Michel. I did not like the Michel pick. The simple reason is twofold. Number one, he plays on the Patriots offense. So, like, yeah, he's really talented, and yeah, they took him in the first round, but, like, we got Sonny Michel, we got Damian Harris, we got Brandon Bolden, we got Rex Burkhead, I'm forgetting someone, James White, I just named five guys. That's a five deep running back, and I think all of them except for Bolden have like a role on the team. And I still feel like I'm forgetting someone as well. So like that's a lot of running backs. It's a lot of mouths to feed. Even if I really like Michelle, and I do, and even if I think he's the goal line back, which I do think he is, can I guarantee that he's going to get like 10 carries a game? 15 carries a game? Not to mention he's on a team that, I mean, it's good to run the ball. They run the ball in the fourth quarter when they're up. They try to bleed out the clock, but like, is he going to be the guy in there to bleed out the clock? What makes him better than Rex Burkhead or Damian Harris? Maybe they want the receiving back James White in there. Maybe they want Bolden in there. I don't really know. You don't really know. That's why I don't like the Michelle pick. Because playing in that offense, other than White, who has a role as the pass catcher, it's really difficult to figure out by game script who's going to be scoring when. And while I really like Michelle's talent, he runs very violently, and that's why he got hurt most of last season. That's also why he fell in the draft. So the second reason is he's kind of injury prone. Now, most of the guys I mentioned, Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, Devontae Freeman, Kerryon Johnson, most of those guys come off injuries as well. So you were going to get that no matter what with any of these guys in this ranking, unless you're drafting one of the rookies, which they could get hurt too, just as easily. But injuries are prevalent, and even if he gets nicked up, he's easily replaceable. It's not like Kerryon Johnson goes down and I'm having to like throw in Zach Zenner, and there's an obvious drop off, or Aaron Jones goes down and the Packers are throwing in Jamal Williams, who's not very good. Sonny Michel goes down, I throw in Rex Burkhead, and I keep Michel basically on the bench for a few weeks till he's 100% again. Like, that's not, I don't want that. I want my guys to be healthy, but I want there to be some drop off from if a guy gets hurt. That way, at least I know his value when he comes back. Because when he comes back from his injury, if he were to get injured, I want him to clearly have a role on the offense. And I also can't promise that with Michel. So I think this was a reach. I kind of get it because I like his talent. And maybe on your board you just looked at it and you're just like, I don't want to risk it with all these guys coming off injury, and I like Michel's talent. But Michel got injured last year too, and he's coming off injury from college. I don't like the pick. I think you probably could have. I understand you were going to go RB heavy after the first round the way it went. I think after playing a safe pick with Carson, I think it would have been better to just simply maybe go for some upside or maybe go safer. I think you almost took like a weird in between to try and be like get some upside, but like try and get someone who you really like because you really like their talent, but like get some like be safe because he's like got a role in this offense because they're high scoring. And they are high scoring, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. The Patriots are hard to figure out. And that's usually why I avoid Patriots players. I did take Josh Gordon though, but even still, I try to avoid them. Belichick is a mastermind, but parts are interchangeable. So I don't like the Michel pick. I'm sorry. Next we got Robert Woods. So like, there's going to be an ongoing theme with your draft. Basically, I'm going to be looking at your team, and I'm just going to be like, why did we take that guy? I'm not really sure why we took that guy. Was there a reason we took him? So I like Robert Woods. I think he's a solid player. I think he can be pretty good on the Rams. I understand, like, looking back through the draft, so that's why I'm pulling up my phone, going through the draft. Like, I know Mike Evans had just been taken before him. I know in that same round, Julian Edelman went. I know before that, like, basically in the second round, after your pick with Sonny Michel, most of the wide receivers went. Like, I took Odell. Andre took Tyreek Hill. Vivian had, like, Julio Jones. But even still, it's hard for me to, like... This kind of ties into, like, the next pick, Mike Williams. I think there were better players on the board. So you took Robert Woods, who's a good player, over, say, like Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was the number 15 wide receiver last year before number 10 wide receiver last year before he tore his ACL. But let's say you want to mitigate the risk. You don't want the injury, and Woods has stayed healthy. I still have a hard time, like, basically coming to terms with taking this pick over guys like Adam Thielen, who, even in a run-heavy offense in Minnesota, will catch the ball a lot. Keenan Allen, who gets a lot of volume on that Chargers offense. We could say Tyler Lockett, who's now the undisputed number one receiver in the Seahawks, even if they are run-heavy, and you don't want to team a running back with a receiver. He's a really good player. Stephon Diggs, who even when he's not hurt is one of the best receivers. He's a top 10 receiver when he's healthy. You could say maybe you want to go more upside. So like Brandon Cooks on that same Rams offense. In another year with McVay, they want to take more deep shots with Jared Goff, and he will probably be the number one target. You could say Chris Godwin on the Bucks, who could eat up a lot of volume because now Adam Humphries and Deshaun Jackson are gone. You could say Kenny Golladay on the Lions, just because he's the new red zone target, and the passing offense is gonna run through him. I like all those guys more than Woods. Most of them don't have the uneven history like Woods. Came from Buffalo. He wasn't very good. Last year he was the number 2 receiver. He got some volume. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I don't want it to seem like I don't believe in him. But I have him as like my 18th ranked wide receiver. And the reason is because he's safe. He's safe like Carson. So I think that's kind of the theme in this draft. You took a safe pick to cushion a very risky pick, but I don't like the risky picks because your next pick was Mike Williams. And I know other teams in our league, other people were looking at Mike Williams. Like, case in point, I know Ryan was looking at Mike Williams. I know for a fact, like, Justin was looking at Mike Williams. I know Stefan was looking at Mike Williams. I know, like, Vivian had asked me about Mike Williams. I know teams were looking at Mike Williams, but when it comes to wide receivers, I need to see it to believe it. That's usually the rule of thumb I go by with wide receivers. Not so much running backs, but definitely wide receivers. And the reason is because, like, you're hoping essentially for, like, that third-year breakout. You're hoping that they, like, show you that they really have it, and sometimes guys don't. Like, the exception to the rule is, like, Odell Beckham Jr.'s draft year with, like, Sammy Watkins and Mike Evans and Odell and Jarvis Landry. Like, that was a record-breaking rookie class. Other than that, usually takes a guy to, like, the third year to really break out. But it's hard to, like, figure who's going to break out. They have to have, like, the opportunity. They have to have in the right settings. They have to have good coaches. So the reason why I'm kind of low on Mike Williams is he's kind of injury prone. Even with Tyrell Williams gone, yeah, I guess he rolls into the number 2 receiving role on the Chargers, but he's still behind if Melvin Gordon comes back. Melvin Gordon. I think that offense revolves around tight ends after Antonio Gates for a decade, so I think Hunter Henry is ahead of him in the pecking order, to be honest. And this offense goes like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's probably the best route runner in the NFL. Keenan Allen gets a lot of volume. Now, Keenan Allen doesn't get touchdowns very often, which is why I don't really like Keenan Allen, even though I've had him. But you took him over Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen's going to get more catches than him, and probably get more yards than him. And Mike Williams is probably due for touchdown regression. So, what are we saying here? I'm thinking like 950 yards, maybe 8 touchdowns. I mean, that's a good player. I mean, in our league with 14 teams, it's probably like a number 2 wideout, which is a top 28 wideout. So, I mean, that's nice to have in the 4th round. I guess, I don't know. I feel like you left meat on the bone. I feel like there were better players to pick, clear number 1 targets on offenses. And it especially is hard for me to reconcile with this when Keenan Allen was there. And I think Keenan Allen's the better player on that team. I think Keenan Allen, for all of his drawbacks, he's not very fast. He doesn't do much in the red zone. He's not very good with press coverage. He's an incredible route runner. He's the best route runner in the NFL. I can't stress that enough. You put him in a foot race with anyone, he'll probably lose. But route running, amazing. So he's really good at getting open. And Mike Williams really is okay at getting open. He wins contested balls like Smith Schuster. But still, if I have in his prime Antonio Brown and I have Juju, who am I taking? I'm taking Antonio Brown. I think it's kind of like the same thing here. I'm not saying Antonio Brown and Keenan Allen are the same, but Keenan Allen gets a lot of volume. If Keenan Allen gets like 5 touchdowns and like 1,100 yards, and Mike Williams gets 950 yards and 8 touchdowns, Keenan Allen's the better player. And I think Keenan Allen's the better player. So, not terrible. I get it, because you're trying to take some upside here. You're taking safe pick, upside, safe pick, upside. But I don't like it. I think you could have waited around. Well, I guess you're at the back end, so you really want to get someone that you believe in, but it's hard for me to reconcile with that. There were better players on the board in my estimation. Next, what's it? Round 5. So you took Jordan Howard. So there's going to be some bias here. I will totally throw that out there. I took Miles Sanders. He's in the same backfield as, obviously, Jordan Howard. I took Saunders 3 picks before you took Howard. I believe in Saunders. I don't believe in Howard. So obviously there's bias because I took Saunders instead of Howard. I'm not saying Howard is a bad player. I think Howard is a good player. I think Howard is got the most rushing yards in the last 3 years in the league. But there's a reason Chicago basically gave him away. And there's a reason why Saunders was a second-round pick. Howard is what he is. He's basically a hammer. He just runs straight up the gut. He can't really catch. He's a 2-down back. He doesn't bring a whole lot on 3rd down. And in the Philadelphia offense, they're kind of like the Patriots of the NFC. Like Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Corey Clement, Josh Adams, Darren Sproles. Like, a bunch of running backs. So, like, what are we saying here? But the fact that they took Saunders in the second round tells me that they like him. I don't know if he's going to get the volume early. Maybe Howard will get the volume early. But I think more of the issue I had with this was you took Howard over some better players in my estimation that were available. See, this is kind of why I would have flipped what you did. Instead of taking, like, for example, Mike Williams, I probably would have taken Philip Lindsay. And then here, I probably would have gone then for, like, a wide receiver, which I know you took a wide receiver with your next pick. I will get to that. But I probably would have taken, like, maybe a couple running backs here, or a wide receiver here, and then a running back, or however you want to switch it up. I just don't... Again, Howard is what he is. I think he has a role in this offense. I think he's probably the goal line back, but this is kind of reminds me of what happened last year with the Packers. I watched Miles Sanders in college, so now we're getting into my pick. I don't mean to do that, but basically, Sanders backed up Saquon Barkley. He only started a year in college, and they made him a second-round pick. The way I look at it is kind of like in Green Bay last year. Ty Montgomery, Jamal Williams were the starters. But it was kind of clear as day that Aaron Jones was the best player. Like, I don't mean to harp on that, but it was clear as day. I kind of feel the same way about Howard and Miles Sanders and even some of the other guys on that team. I like Jordan Howard. I think there's a role for him. I think he's probably the goal line back, but he's not exciting. There's not very much upside. And I think there were better players on the board, even if they were wide receivers, like, for example, Tyler Lockett. Maybe, again, you don't want to take another Seahawk, so we could go with, like, DJ Moore. I will say there weren't very many running backs at this point. I know the next running back taken was freaking Peyton Barber, so I understand. I think you got boxed in, but this is part of the reason why I didn't like the Woods-Williams picks back-to-back. You probably would have been better off taking a third running back in, like, the 3rd or 4th round than you were, like, basically taking those 2 wide receivers, because you really like Williams, and I understand why you took him, but I think you could have played around with it, because I like Lockett more than Mike Williams, and Lockett was available in the 6th round, and you took Williams in the 4th round, which caused you to have to reach to get Jordan Howard in the 5th round, and you got stuck because you need a running back. So don't love that either. Sorry. I don't want to keep raining on your parade. So I do like the Robbie Anderson pick though. I think Anderson. I have him as the 32nd wide receiver, and I know I have Williams as the 22nd. So why do we like Anderson? But Williams is 22 and Anderson is 32. The reason being is Anderson brings a lot to the table. If you'll remember, going back 2 years, Anderson was a top 15 receiver on Andre's team, helped him win a championship. I don't know if he has that upside again, especially in an Adam Gase offense that likes to slow it down. But Darnold is taking a step forward, I think, this year in his 2nd year as the quarterback. And Anderson brings one thing to the table, and that's speed. He can really fly. They really believe in him. He's outlasted, say, for example, Jermaine Kearse, who used to be on the team, Quincy Enunwa, who used to be on the team, and he went through a suspension last year, and even still, he's the number 1 receiver on the Jets. That tells me that they really believe in him. I think his role in the offense is to blow the top off the team. I think Darnold's going to take a step forward, and I know the Jets have made some trades to shore up that offensive line. I know Le'Veon Bell can't do it all. So I like Robbie Anderson as an upside play. I do very much so. I know he's the 32nd wide receiver, but I like him. I still like Lockett more. Sorry. I like DJ Moore more. But I think this was a good pick in the sense that Anderson can bring you upside, especially as a number 1 receiver. In that offense, you know his role, more so than probably most of the other guys on the board at the time. So I do like that. I think Anderson can probably match what Mike Williams is going to do, like 950 yards, maybe 8 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. If he gets a 70-yard catch and a touchdown, that makes your whole week. And he can do that with his speed. So I very much, it's kind of like Tyreek Hill last year. I didn't see Tyreek being as amazing as he is, but he's just got speed for days. Anderson he's not as fast as Tyreek, but he's really fast. And the fact that he's the number 1 receiver means he's going to get fed. So I like the pick. I like the Robbie Anderson pick. The next pick, we took Kalen Ballage. So now I feel like you're kind of trying to play the board, and again, you're doing this thing. You started 2 running backs, then you did 2 wide receivers. Now you're doing running back, receiver, running back, running back. I feel like you're trying to make up for basically more runs on running backs and trying to create depth. Personally, I do like Ballage. I have him as the 38th running back, but I think he's going to probably be the starter in Miami. I know Kenyon Drake is still there, and they're just like, oh, we're going to run a system. We're going to have Kenyon Drake do this, and we're going to have Kalen Ballage do that. And I'm just like, just give Ballage the ball. Ballage is the better player. He's faster. He's better with his hands. He doesn't get injured as much. He's just the better player. So, getting a starting running back in the 7th round. Good pick. I don't have too much to say about that. I like it. I like Ballage. I believe in his talent. I know Miami's crap, so that's the one thing. But I think he's going to stay on the field even when they're down because you got to throw the ball somewhere, and Fitzpatrick loves to dump the ball off. Case in point, look at the Bucs. He'll get freaking Peyton Barber. So, yeah, getting a starting running back, 7th round. I like it. I dig it. Then we took Darwin Thompson, so we're going a little out there. I understood he's looked really good in training camp, and Damian Williams has never done it in Kansas City, so you're getting his handcuff, and Thompson's looked great. We will get into Stefan and his wild picks like Carlos Hyde and Kareem Hunt, and just terrible picks. But Thompson looks like, the reason why I bring that up is Thompson looks like the clear backup in Kansas City. So I can definitely understand that. I am a little amiss taking Thompson over, say, like Justin Jackson or maybe LaShawn McCoy, guys who I think have clear roles in their offenses. But at this point, it's like the 8th round. You're looking for a running back. This guy's got upside. We don't know if Damian Williams is ever going to do it the whole season and stay healthy because we remember those Miami teams that Williams was on. He was not very impressive. So you're really picking the guy for the role, not actually his actual talent. yeah, I like Darwin Thompson. I can kind of talk myself into that, and it's not like there were too many other guys. I mean, maybe Justin Jackson, maybe Tony Pollard, because like is Elliott still hasn't signed his contract. Let's hope he does, for my sake. But I did the Thompson pick because there's upside there. Uh, but then we're starting to kind of get a little weird and get more upside picks. So we took like Michael Gallup and then Curtis Samuel. Hmm. So I don't like the Gallup pick. I I have him as like the 52nd wide receiver. He's the number two receiver on a rushing offense in Dallas. Yeah, and Jason Witten's back. So like Amari Cooper, Jason Witten, Ezekiel Elliott. If Elliott's out, Tony Pollard, and then Michael Gallup. So I'm taking like the fourth option in the offense. I mean, I guess it's the ninth round. I mean, there's upside there, I think. I can't remember the last time a number two receiver on Dallas. Well, I guess maybe we could say Cole Beasley kind of mattered, but not really. I can't remember the last time a number two receiver on the Cowboys actually mattered. That is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's been a long time because, I mean, now we have Amari Cooper. Before Cooper was Des Bryant. Before Des Bryant was Terrell Owens. Can you name like Miles Austin? I don't think he really mattered. Um, can you name a number two receiver on the Cowboys that's mattered in the last 10 years? 5? I can't. I think Gallup has potential. I don't think he's on the right team. I think there were better players to be had. Namely some of the defensive players actually. Um, or take a tight end since you waited on Darren Waller. But I don't hate it. I get it. Upside. It's not like there was like a ton of stuff taken. Like the next wide receiver. Well, actually, yeah, Dede Westbrook and Emmanuel Sanders were taken in the 10th round. You took Gallup in the ninth. I like those guys better. There's roles for them. Dede Westbrook's the number one receiver on the Jaguars. Emmanuel Sanders is the number one receiver on the Broncos. Now, granted, those teams don't have good offenses passing the ball, but neither do the Cowboys. And so, like, yeah, I know their roles. I don't know what Gallup's role is. It's not like they're in a high pressure passing offense. So, yeah, I don't like the Gallup pick. I do like the Curtis Samuel pick. Funny enough, I don't believe in Cam. I probably never will, but Samuels looked good in training camp. They were trying to get him the ball last year with gadget plays. Norv Turner is really, really trying. Like before, they had the Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess tall guys. Let's get some tall receivers so when Cam overthrows the ball, we can get it to them. Norv Turner's coming in just like we're gonna get some fast guys. I know a lot of people like DJ Moore last year from Maryland. I think Samuel's the better player. So getting Samuel in the 10th round is a steal. I got Samuel as the 31st best receiver in fantasy, which is ahead of Robbie Anderson. And you took Anderson in the 6th round. You got Samuel in the 10th. That's great value. I really like that pick. I think Samuel is probably the best value pick on this team. So yeah, I believe in Curtis Samuel. I think he might be I think he will be the number one receiver on the Panthers. I'll say it. I think he's going to be the number one receiver on the Panthers. I think he's going to get 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think he's fast as hell. I think they're going to do a bunch of gadget plays with him. And I think, honestly, he's the third option on. Well, I mean, probably the second option. I kind of count Cam as an option because he runs the ball in the red zone. But if we're talking just like offensive playmakers, it's McCaffrey, then it's Curtis Samuel, and obviously, Cam's going to do his thing and eat up red zone rushes, and I hate that, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's getting him in the 10th round. Very good pick. I like that. I like that pick. Him and Thompson, I like. Ballage, I like. Gallup, I don't. Howard, I don't. Yeah. So, then we can get some into defensive players. I won't get too much into it. I had Littleton last year. He was a tremendous linebacker. You got him as a starter. Great. Tremaine Edmonds, I picked him up all free agency. Good rookie year in Buffalo. Tackles a lot. He's a middle linebacker. Good pick. Sean Williams looked good last year for the Bengals. Good safety. Solid. Okay. DeMarcus Lawrence just got a big contract with the Cowboys. They have a good defense. It's built around him. He rushes the passer. Cool. Very solid. No real much to say. I think they're all top 10 players at their position, probably, if they don't get hurt. So yeah, not too much to quibble about. I like the Damian Harris picking at 15. I have him as the 59th running back, so he's real low, but it's the 15th round. And as I mentioned before, there's a ton of Patriots running backs. I still feel like I'm forgetting someone, that there's so many running backs on the Patriots. I named 5 of them. I think there's 6 of them. But yeah, Harris is really talented. He's kind of a jack of all trades. Funny enough, Josh Jacobs went in the first round, yet Harris is the one who actually had more attempts and more rushing yards than Josh Jacobs did every single season they were there in Alabama. I don't know. Nick Saban believes in him more than he believes in Josh Jacobs. Yet Jacobs went in the first round. I don't know. Who do you believe, John Gruden or Nick Saban? Who do you believe, Bill Belichick or John Gruden? So I like that. I just think, it's kind of like a vulture backfield, but you took him as your handcuff to Sonny Michel, so I didn't love the Michel pick at all. I like the Harris pick because he's the handcuff, and if something happens to Michel, I think Harris is the obvious backup to it. If not, he'll probably vulture some of the touches from Michel starting week 1. But yeah, 15th round, can't quibble with the value. 16th. So we're starting to get like real deep. I'm not going to mention the kicker in the 17th. Sorry, kickers don't matter. You took Darnold. I have Darnold as 24th quarterback. I appreciate you for taking Darnold towards the end, even though I don't have him ranked high. And the reason is by last year you took Mahomes and you waited forever and you took him and it worked out tremendously. I know you're trying to, same thing. You're taking Darnold late. No one really has him high on the board. Second-year player, coming into his own, new offense. Let's see what we can do. I don't know if Darnold's going to be successful, just because, it's new coach, new offense. From everything I saw in Miami, they're not going to really be what Andy Reid is in Kansas City. But, you're hoping lightning strikes twice. And I can appreciate that. Why take double quarterback? Why am I... No, that's dumb. That's a waste of draft capital to take 2 quarterbacks, especially much earlier. If there's any position to wait on, it's quarterback. If Darnold doesn't work out, it didn't cost you much. If it does, awesome. And if it doesn't, I'll just go pick up Josh Allen or freaking, I don't know, Jameis Winston. It doesn't... I appreciate you for waiting. I appreciate that you took Darnold, even if I don't love Darnold. On the off chance you happen to be right, it's worth it. And so for the limited draft capital, that's exactly what you want. I can't quibble with that. I can't really argue with that. I mean, we got guys in our league rolling out Mitchell Trubisky and Derek Carr as their backups, trying to convince me that they're going to be top 10 quarterbacks. And, you don't know. You wasted a pick for a guy to be your backup. You could have just waited for Darnold, and then if he doesn't work out, immediately find a better backup on free agency. I think that's the better play. So, yeah, I don't really know if Darnold's the guy. I have him ranked low because I don't know he's the guy. I don't trust Adam Gase, but I appreciate you for waiting, and I think that's a good pick, no matter what. Because if it doesn't work out, it didn't cost you much. You can immediately cut him, go get someone else. I'm sure someone on free agency will become something of value, more so than freaking, let's go pick up Phillip Rivers. Let's trot out Derek Carr. Mitchell Trubisky is good. Huh? You're better off just waiting, getting a little sample size on free agency, seeing who's actually good, and then picking them up. So if Darnold happens to hit, great. You got a whole bunch of, you spent a lot of good picks earlier, you use them on good players, and you hit on your quarterback. If he doesn't, easy replacement. Love the draft strategy. Appreciate you. Last pick. You waited on tight end. You waited a long time. You took Darren Waller, who is the replacement for Jared Cook, who was on the Pro Bowl team for the Raiders. Waller, funny enough, I remember him at Georgia Tech because I follow Georgia Tech under Paul Johnson, and they're the wide receiver factory. He has got tremendous skills as far as like 40 jump, athleticism. Will he become that tight end for Oakland? I don't know. But I think if you're not going to if there's no tight end on the board that you love, I know Sarah took OJ Howard. Mac took Hunter Henry, I believe. I think Mac took Hunter Henry. I'll have to check. But I know Hunter Henry went in the 6th round. Who took Hunter Henry? Yeah, Mac took Hunter Henry. So if there was no one tight end that you really liked, and obviously you don't want to spend the draft capital on the top 3 of them, unless I guess some teams did, but if you don't want to do that, and there's no one tight end that you believe in, yeah, just wait on a guy. You can find something on free agency. Don't believe me? I did it with George Kittle literally last year. I got him for free. So, yeah, I think Waller is good high upside pick. You're having him as your starter, but really the replacement value on tight end is kind of like quarterback because it's a kind of a crapshoot unless you really believe in a guy. I think it's a pretty clear top 6 of Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, OJ Howard, Evan Ingram, and Hunter Henry. Maybe Mark Andrews at 7, but after that, it's kind of just like a crapshoot. So, yeah, I totally agree with just waiting and picking up Waller in the 18th round as your last pick. Because, why not? I know just as much as who's going to be a tight end as you do. So maybe Waller's the guy. Maybe he's not. But if he's not, I'll just cut him and find someone else. It doesn't matter. It's tight end. I'm going to get 5 points out of him unless I have an elite one anyway. And I'd rather use the resources on something else that'll actually help me than waste the resources on a tight end who may just go bust and then I'm really done. So, yeah. This is long. Most of these videos are going to be long. But I don't hate your draft. I think it's incredibly average, which is why you were kind of easy to grade for me. Because you're exactly a C, Brian. I think something for you to work on maybe in the future would be, take more of your high upside picks, like Balaj, Curtis Samuel. I don't love the Gallup pick, but I understand it, high upside. I think it would serve you well in the future to consider doing something like that with higher picks. I mean, I understood you want to take some upside with Michelle, and you want to take some upside with Mike Williams. But I think Chris Carson and Robert Woods are super safe. I don't know if, any of those guys, any of the 4 guys you took with your first 5 picks, are someone I can build a championship team around. And that's what I'm looking for. So it's hard for me. I understand, being at the back end of the draft, it was really difficult for you, not knowing how guys would turn around. But I believe, I can build a championship team around DeAndre Hopkins. I believe I can build a championship team around Julio Jones. I believe, because I'm biased, that I can build a championship team around Aaron Jones. I don't know if I can build a championship team around Chris Carson. I don't know if I can build a championship team out of Sonny Michel. I don't know if I can do that out of Robert Woods. I know I can trade Keenan Allen for Adrian Peterson, and then he can help me get a championship. I don't know if I can trade Mike Williams to get someone of value to help me get a championship, because I don't know if I have the foundation to do that. So I think you have a good team, though. I'm not saying it's bad. I just think you're average. I'm giving you a C. I think you'll make the playoffs. I don't want to make it seem like I'm super angry or disappointed in you or something. I just think this is an average draft. And I think, maybe something to keep in mind, last year you were the 13th pick, this year the 14th pick. My suggestion to you would be, if you could possibly figure it out, pick higher in the draft. Get like a top 5 pick. Go get an elite running back you can build a team around. Because then you can really play around with the board and you can get some high upside and see if someone hits. Because this doesn't really work for you. You're not. It works well to have a back end pick when you're doing something like Patrick, where you're doing really, really high risk stuff. This safe stuff doesn't really work with the back end snake picks because you don't know how the board's going to play, and you're not identifying guys that you're just, this guy could really hit and make my season. And you're just kind of like, oh, I like his upside, and this guy's super safe. That doesn't win you championships. Safe doesn't win you championships. I'm sorry. So, just something to consider. You don't have to follow my advice. Just a thought. I'm not saying the team's bad. I obviously think we'll make the playoffs, barring injury, of course. And I think you have good depth, but I think you're going to be hunting for a flex unless Robbie Anderson proves to be the flex. Yeah, I don't think Jordan Howard's going to work out very well for you. Sorry. Probably should have taken a third running back in the top 4 rounds. Maybe that's just me. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.